Minnesota woman killed in parking lot by coworker after rejecting his advances, police say. I think this is a little bit more true for women, whether it comes from actual intuition or just from being observant. When someone gives off a vibe that's just extremely off putting, you can't put your finger on it, but you just don't want any part of it. No, thank you. I'll take my own self out to a goddamn cup of coffee. A Minnesota man fatally shot his female coworker after she repeatedly rebuffed his sexual advances at work, police said. Early in the morning on October 24th, the body of Nicole Hammond, 28, was found in a St. Cloud business parking lot just meters away from where she was supposed to clock in for work that day. I don't know who needs to hear this, but the job that you go to every day should not be the same place that you go to meet people to hook up with. There are exceptions, but that's not the rule. According to the criminal complaint, officers had arrived at the scene just before 7 a.m. after responding to a call from a witness who'd heard shots being fired on the 400 block of Lincoln Avenue in the small city. When they arrived, they found the 28-year-old victim lying beside her car with what appeared to be a gunshot wound and pool of blood spilling out from below her head. Officers attempted life-saving measures on the young woman, but she was pronounced dead at the scene shortly after. Autopsy results from the coroner's office revealed that she had been shot once on the right side of her neck, NBC News reported. We're talking about repeated sexual advances, not just offers to go for a cup of coffee. Let's go for a sandwich. Let's go for lunch. Let's even go to dinner. No, when he fixed his mouth to ask for sex that very first time, this had already gotten way beyond weird. A witness later came forward and told police that they seen a co-worker of Hammond's, Michael Jordan Carpenter, 36, leave his own car and approach the 28-year-old's vehicle around the time of the shooting, KNSI radio reported. The witness claimed that Mr. Carpenter fled the scene shortly after they'd heard the shots rip through the parking lot and jogged back to his own car before leaving. With a name like Michael Jordan, it's hilarious. It's an icebreaker. It's a great way to strike up a conversation with women, not catching them in the parking lot and making weird sexual advances at them. The St. Cloud Police Department said in a release that they arrested Mr. Carpenter at his residence at approximately 9:50 a.m. and he was taken into custody without incident. When police searched the 36-year-old's car, they received a 9mm pistol that still had a round inside the chamber and a loaded magazine in a carrying case on the driver's side rear seat. The bullets found inside the recovered handgun matched the shell casing found near Hammond's body, according to the filing, Fox 9 reported. He looks like a bat with a 5 o'clock shadow. Nothing a wingman can't help. Under questioning, Mr. Carpenter provided an unclear narrative about how the morning of October 24th had unfolded, with police noting that he made multiple contradictory statements. At first, Mr. Carpenter told authorities that he walked towards his coworker's car on that Monday morning, but then heard a gunshot and saw that someone else was attending to her. The probable cause statement read, straight out of an episode of Law and Order. Police pushed back on this version of events, however, as they pointed out in the filing that it would have been difficult to near impossible for Mr. Carpenter to be able to have a clear line of sight at that hour and from his supposed position. Wouldn't you love for that to have been the part when Stabler makes him break down and admit that he's lonely because he's a dork with no people skills? Dum dum. The 36-year-old suspect added in a statement that he did witness a lot of blood beside Hammond's body, but was reportedly too traumatized, so he fled the scene without calling emergency responders or going into work that day. But this is supposed to be the girl that you like so much that you can't leave her alone when she's at work. At one point, Mr. Carpenter claimed that he was aware that Hammond had not clocked into work that day at their shared place of important, DeBal Textiles, a fact that he would not have been able to ascertain, police said, because he didn't go into work that day nor clock in himself. Evidence uncovered from Hammond's phone revealed that the pair of coworkers had been messaging in the days leading up to her untimely death, including a message sent by the 28-year-old the night before, where she reportedly said did not want to be touched by the defendant, nor did she want to be manipulated by him. The probable cause statement said he put this woman in a position where she had to give him a very, very hard no, hurt his little ego because now he still has to see her every day. Another message sent by Hammond to Mr. Carpenter indicated that she asked him to not make things uncomfortable at work. She's the younger woman, but she's more of an adult than she is because she knows not to bring this shit to the workplace, the filing said. Co-workers interviewed by authorities claim that the 36-year-old defendant was known to have a bad temper, NBC News reported. Executives at DeBow Textiles, however, were reportedly caught off guard by the assault as they claimed they'd been unaware that Mr. Carpenter had been harassing his younger colleague. And I could see where if she didn't want to make a big office-wide stink about it, if she could handle it herself and he would just leave her alone, then she would be perfectly fine with that. We are very attuned to our staff's needs, obviously not concerns, and anytime that there is anything that requires our intervention, we step in, said Hammond's boss, Rob DeBow, chief executive at DeBow Textiles, in an interview with Fox 9 News. But in this case, we had no indication that there was anything awry. Mr. Carpenter acknowledged under questioning that he'd been left upset by the text conversation with his coworker the night before her death, the filing said. Notice how he phrased it like they text each other, like they were going together, like they just had a little disagreement as a couple. No, this man was known in the workplace for having a bad temper, and when he came her way, she didn't want any part of it. The 36-year-old was charged with second-degree murder and was booked into Benton County Jail, where he remains. If convicted, he faces a maximum sentence of 40 years in jail.